Detectives investigating the Las Vegas shooting massacre are reportedly focusing on a hard drive missing from the killer's computer. A laptop was recovered in the Mandalay Bay hotel room where Stephen Paddock was holed up with an arsenal of weapons. The 64-year-old killed himself after shooting 58 people dead and injuring more than 500 at a country music concert being held nearby. So far, a massive investigation being led by the FBI has failed to uncover a motive. Paddock had no links to a terror group, history of mental illness or even a criminal record. Now it's being claimed investigators believe a hard drive was removed from Paddock's laptop after the shooting and it has still not been found. Image Reuters. Las Vegas cops explain why they didn't storm mass killer Stephen Paddock's hotel room sooner. Given the lack of clues anywhere else in Paddock's life, the hard drive has now become the focus of the investigation, it is believed. Las Vegas police have continued to insist that Paddock acted alone, despite repeated claims of clues that point to a second shooter. The latest twist comes as Sheriff Joe Lombardo's force comes under increasing scrutiny over their response time when the shooting began. The Mandalay Bay Hotel has disputed an apparent 6-minute gap between when Paddock opened fire and a security guard, and police being alerted. Sheriff Lombardo made the bombshell admission earlier this month that security officer Jesus Campos was shot before the massacre began, not after, as previously thought. Paddock first opened fire at 9:59 p.m. when Mr. Campos tried to open a stairwell door adjacent to his suite. He had screwed it shut in a bid to hamper the police response. Paddock is then said to have begun firing into the crowd from two windows on the 32nd floor at 10:05 p.m. Sheriff Lombardo Image Getty police confirmed that by the time they arrived at the stairwell where Mr. Campos remained injured, Paddock had stopped shooting. It raised questions as to why it took so long to raise the alarm and locate the killer in one of America's most high-profile terror targets. The owners of the Mandalay, MGM International, responded by claiming recent reports of the shooting timeline are inaccurate. The hotel says that shots were fired into the festival at the same time as, or within 40 seconds after, the time Jesus Campos first reported that shots were fired over the radio. Prostitute reveals Las Vegas gunman Stephen Paddock hired her for sick rape fantasies. Police and armed hotel security then responded immediately to the 32nd floor, MGM says. The statement in full reads, although we prefer not to comment on the details of the investigation, we are issuing this statement to correct some of the misinformation that has been reported. The 9.59 PDT time was derived from a Mandalay Bay report manually created after the fact without the benefit of information we now have. We are now confident that the time stated in this report is not accurate. We now know that shots were being fired at the festival lot at the same time as, or within 40 seconds after, the time Jesus Campos first reported that shots were fired over the radio. Metro officers were together with armed Mandalay Bay security officers in the building when Campos first reported that shots were fired over the radio. These Metro officers and armed Mandalay Bay security officers immediately responded to the 32nd floor. Under Sheriff Kevin McMahill briefs on latest developments. Could Las Vegas killer have been stopped? Cops reveal security guard shot 6 minutes before massacre started. We will continue to work with law enforcement as we have from the first moments of this tragedy as they work towards developing an accurate timeline. Police are facing difficult questions about why it took around so long to locate the killer, and then another 45 minutes before to storm his hotel suite. Previously, police had said Mr. Campos was the hero who disturbed the killer around 15 minutes after the shooting began and brought it to an end. But now it's emerged that the chaos at the Mandalay Bay began when Mr. Campos went to investigate a stairwell door which was adjacent to Paddock's hotel room. Paddock was in the middle of installing cameras when he heard Mr. Campos on the other side of the door using his radio. He sprayed hundreds of bullets through the stairwell door, hitting Mr. Campos in the leg. Courageously, he raised the alarm and stayed in the stairwell. Paddock then began firing on the crowd at the Route 91 music festival from his hotel windows. Using a variety of weapons, he killed 58 people and injured more than 500 others. By the time the first responding police arrived at his suite, Paddock had stopped firing and may well have already killed himself. The first officers on the scene included Sergeant Joshua Bitsko and Officer Dave Newton of the K-9 unit, who had been training dogs when they heard the call. The third was Detective Matthew Donaldson, who was at police headquarters and had already driven 9 miles to get to the scene. He told CBS News how he arrived barefoot, Head rushed out in cowboy boots which rubbed his feet raw as he sprinted the final few blocks to the Mandalay, and he decided it was easier to take them off. Image Internet unknown. This ragtag mix of officers then formed an ad hoc SWAT team and planned how they would storm the hotel room. At 11:20 p.m., they used explosives to breach the door and ran in to find Paddock dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Asked why it took more than an hour for this ad hoc SWAT team to storm the room, Under Sheriff Kevin McMahill told KNPR, "Let me paint a picture for you. There's no more active killing going on. SWAT was en route, but I want to be clear to you. This was not an entry team composed entirely of all SWAT. Imagine you get to this door, it's riddled with bullets, you look across and you see wires hanging off of a cart, it looks potentially like cameras, but you're not sure if it's wired to something on the other side of the door. And HES no longer killing anybody. The game changes if he continues shooting. They go in, there's no doubt about that. But as they go there, they also had conversation with one another that you can probably expect to get shot, and expect to get blown up. So they still make the decision to go in very quickly after an active shooter who has now killed dozens of people and injured hundreds and hundreds of other people." Image Getty Images North America. Under Sheriff McMahill said police didn't realize the correct timeline of events because they have been concentrating on investigating Paddock. But the revelation that it took at least 25 minutes for police to reach the scene of a major shooting at a hotel in Las Vegas will raise serious security questions. By comparison, armed officers with the Metropolitan Police had shot dead the 3 London Bridge terrorist attackers within 8 minutes of the first call from a member of the public. Realize gunman is in hotel. Keywords Las Vegas mass shooting. Crime. Duration 175. Upload date 20171004TO22551Z. CO. Publisher. Type organization. Name Mirror. URL http www.mirror.co.uk. Logo. Type image object. EALTS3UIST1.amazonors.com. Trinity Images Logos Mirror.png. Width 219. Height 60. Main entity of page. http www.mirror.co.uk. World News Video Frenetic Bodycam Footage House Moment 11283561. Custom fields. Uploader Joshua Longmore. Source B. Content vertical undefined. Clearance network. Source 06 BEF9 C772 FF856 FCDF B6 F8 F237 B9 C80. Source L. Site undefined. Suggested data. Videos. Greater than image. Reuters. Investigators continue to search for an answer as to Paddock's true motive. Sheriff Lombardo confirmed Paddock's brother Eric and girlfriend Marilu Danley continue to be interviewed. So far, police have yet to establish any concrete answers. Sheriff Lombardo reiterated that they are certain Paddock had no links to a terror group or political organization. Image Reuters. He was taking medication and police are concentrating on his mental health. This individual purposely hid his actions leading up to this event, and it is difficult for us to find the answers, said Lombardo, who agreed he was frustrated with the speed of the investigation. Police also confirmed reports which emerged last week that Paddock targeted a fuel tank on the edge of the festival. Bullet holes were found in the tanks, and Sheriff Lombardo said it's believed Paddock may have been trying to set off an explosion as a distraction for his escape.